everyone, I am here with 31 Days of Tarot Challenge, days 21 to 31. And I want to thank Ethony for putting on this challenge, as well as, I watched tons of people that did this, and it was just really exciting to see everyone's answers and everyone participating. So I want to thank Ethony for putting this on, because I think it is a really great community building exercise and a lot of fun too. So let's get started. Last week I tried to answer 21 but couldn't read my own writing. The question was, what is your favorite storage, ways to store tarot? Now, I know some people will get different bags for each deck. I have a few like that, especially some of the earlier decks that I got that just came in like a little flimsy box. But actually not a fan of the bag. I find them like kind of sometimes hard to store, like hard to stack, and then also sometimes they don't tie up well or they fall apart, and so I'm okay with them, but they're not my favorite. My favorite kind is I like to keep the packaging all together. I love the new Llewellyn style of packaging. Before they had that flimsy box, so you end up throwing the box, and then I'd put the book on a shelf and I'd have to find a bag for the deck. But I do like their new ones, like this one, the Everyday Witch. It's got the magnetic, I love magnetic closures. I don't know why, I just do. I love having a sturdy box. I love like this, I can put it on the shelf. It's got the book in it. It's got like the deck in it, so I love that. I really love that they've put more love into the books, into the box. I love that. So, and then I can put the book right there. And then you've got your deck all safely tucked away. Ooh, like that. So that is definitely my favorite way of storage, and I like lining them up, and then you can see what you have and where your decks are, and I just think it's really pretty, and I'm a sucker for good packaging, so I love this kind of deck. I don't mind either stuff like the Blue Angel. I mean, this is more Oracle, but where they've got the sturdy box. Usually the deck, doesn't quite all the way fit in, but they've got the nice book, they've got the box, and again, you can put it all together. It's in a nice box. It doesn't have the nice magnetic closure, but hey, whatever. I still prefer that over a bag or finding a wooden box or something like that. Number 22 is cards that were the hardest for me to learn. I think like a lot of people at the beginning, I struggled with court cards. I didn't always know if they were a person or if they were an aspect of the person, and now I just kind of use my intuition, and sometimes I think it's a bit of both. But I think like a lot of people, I struggled, with court cards. Also, there were a couple of major arcana that I didn't always resonate with. Like I think a lot of people have struggled with the Hierophant. And then also the Empress as well, sometimes I struggled with too. So those were the ones that I kind of struggled with, and I think it's just because I didn't really like resonate with them a lot. Also, I find the Sun, actually, I had some hard times with, because it's like, happiness and vacation and joyfulness, and for some reason it's a lot easier to talk about challenges than it is to talk about like really good things, because that's pretty broad. And same with the Empress too, like fertility, creativity, abundance, but what does that look like? It's going to look like different things to different people. So I kind of sometimes when I was starting struggle with that. I feel like I don't anymore, but definitely I remember when I was learning, those were kind of the ones that I struggled the most with. A tarot deck that you had to break up with. I did break up with the Doreen Virtue decks, I have to say. The Angel Tarot and the Guardian Angel Tarot were definitely the best ones, but there were a lot that just were disappointing. Like when I got the Fairy one, I had high hopes, and that was disappointing, so I had to break up with that one. Just the artwork is so bad. To me, I have a lot of forgiveness for artwork if the deck works really well. It doesn't have to be the most perfect artwork in the world, but sometimes it's just so bad, I just can't even. I don't like that kind of computer generated art where it combines photos and art and it looks awkward and kind of put together. There are exceptions where they do it really, really well. I think Carlette Baron-Reid's artist, I can't remember her name, but who did the Good Tarot, did it really, really well and beautifully. But when it's not done right, it is really bad. And it just looked like people's faces were superimposed. They looked awkward. So I had to break up with that. Same with like her Animal Tarot. I had hopes for that too. But again, I just couldn't. It had too many cats and dogs in it. And, had like weird things like crowns on people, on horses and stuff. Like just weird stuff like that. So I had to kind of let that go. So yeah, I had to break up with those ones. Another one I had high hopes for was the Byzantine Tarot, but I think I'm breaking up with that one too. It's just too muddy looking. So those are the ones I had to break up with, and they are in a box somewhere to be given away. So that's the story with them. Design a 79th card. If you had to design a 79th card, I feel like I would put like a blank card in there, like kind of like in runes you have the blank rune, which is about the unknown, that there is no answer, or that it's not set in stone, or that it's up to you or you're not to know. I feel like something like that. And it could either be totally blank or something where you have like sort of a void or space where it looks really, just like mysterious and the mystery. I would do something like that because I think sometimes you don't know the answer and you don't know what it could be, and you need to leave all possibilities open. So I would do something like that. Tarot or Oracle? If you had to choose just one to read for the rest of your life, what would you choose? I would choose Tarot. I do love Oracle, nothing against Oracle, but there's something about the Tarot 78 card system. It seems to cover just about everything in every human scenario that I think you could definitely, like Tarot, I could just read for the rest of my life. It is definitely my number one, that and astrology for divination. I think that just covers so many things. There's so many styles of tarot deck that you don't need Oracle. Again, love Oracle, but if I had to pick, I would pick Tarot for sure. What do I think of tarot becoming mainstream? Definitely tarot has become a lot more popular. You see a lot of different kinds of decks. You see it more in TV shows, you see it more in magazines, that kind of thing, and I think it's great. I know sometimes people get upset when their thing becomes really popular. I've seen this not just in tarot, I've seen it when like in the witch community, I've seen it in the goth community, I've seen it in the metal community. Things go in cycles, and there's always times when things become more popular and then they become not popular. And I always see that there's always a little group of people who are like, oh, it's too mainstream and everybody's going to get into it, no, and they get upset about it. Instead of taking advantage of the fact that that stuff is everywhere, and now you get to go and like buy things and indulge in it because it's everywhere. So it goes in cycles. So I say take advantage of it while it's in an up cycle. Go get the things that you want, enjoy it because it's cyclical, and there's going to be a point where it's passé, and it's going to be a little harder to find that kind of stuff. So enjoy it while it lasts. That's my attitude. Your first professional reading, either giving one or getting one. So I think the first professional tarot reading I ever got, I was about 19, and a friend of mine was fixing the tarot reader's computer or something. This is back in the 90s. And she said, well, part of the payment was she was going to give him and a friend a reading. So he said, why don't you come along? So I was really excited, and I went, and she was really good. And she told me some information that at the time didn't really want to hear about a particular boyfriend, but it was true. It turned out to be true. And I was like, that's really interesting. So, I had already become interested in tarot. I hadn't gotten a deck yet at that point. I didn't get my first deck until I was 20. But that really piqued my interest and made me think, like, there's something to this. Like, this is quite interesting. And I really love the cards and stuff. So it really made an impression on me, that's for sure. I don't remember the first professional tarot reading I gave because I've been reading for a long time. And you started by just, like, reading for family and friends. And I can't remember who first gave me money. It's terrible, but I do. It did take me a while to like really. I mean, I always took it seriously, as in I always believed in it, but to take my skills seriously. For the longest time, I had people saying, "You should charge money for this. You're really good at this. You should do this for a living." But it's like I didn't have enough confidence to kind of do that for myself. So I don't really remember my first professional reading, to be honest. Is there one celebrity you would refuse to read for? I think, I don't know if it's like one person, but anyone where I thought I didn't, agree kind of with their ethics. And I mean, sounds really broad, but there's not that many people where I'd be like, oh, you're a terrible person, and I would never read for you. Like, excuse, if you don't like my politics, please click away. but I would not read for Donald Trump because I think he is a horrible person. And I would not, there would be no amount of money that I would take to read for that piece of poop. That's for sure. So that's what I think. When it comes to reading, I've done a lot of readings for, strangers and things. It's interesting because, like, to me, I never judge. I've heard all sorts of things from people, and to me, it's, as a reader, it's not my job to judge a person's situation. It's my job to deliver the message, whatever message is for them that comes through the cards. Whatever the situation is, doesn't matter. I read, and I don't judge. I just deliver the message that is for them. But I think somebody like Donald Trump, I couldn't get past that, and I would have to say no and decline that. How do you think it all works? What are the mechanics of it? To be honest, I don't know what the mechanics are. It's kind of like I don't totally 100% understand how electricity works, but I know it does. And I respect it, and that's the same thing with tarot. I kind of believe, and this is just my beliefs, I'm not saying it's the truth or anything like that, is that you attract the cards that are meant for you. I believe that Spirit is trying to give you a message, and so you will pull out the cards that are right for you to hear the message you need to hear at that particular time, because I think it's a combination of, there's the cards, but there's also intuition as well. Using your intuition to get the message that either the other person or yourself is supposed to receive. And so I believe a big part of it is Spirit acting through us to make sure that we're getting the right message. I also kind of believe, that like attracts like, and that you naturally sort of attract the message that you're supposed to hear at that time, because it connects with the energies that you're kind of working with at that particular point. That's what I think, how it works, but I'm sure there are people who could articulate that far better than I could and have much better thoughts on that particular matter. That's for sure. My most culturally inclusive deck. I think my most culturally inclusive deck, and if you'll just excuse me for a moment, I will go get it. I was not prepared and did not put it out. Silly me. I think it is the Spellcaster's Tarot, again in a beautiful magnetic box. Way to go, Llewellyn. The Spellcaster's Tarot, I noticed, has a lot more diversity in the people in the deck, which I like. Bravo. Also, I've noticed that it has some same-sex couples in it, which are really great. Like, look, there's the star. Little Six of Wands. So there's like a variety of people in here, which I think is really great. I'm just trying to look. I know there's a couple with some same-sex couples. I love that death. Look at that death. He's so 80s rock and roll. Love it. Love it. Okay. I know there's same-sex ones in here, but just a diversity of ages, of different ethnic backgrounds. It's all, not all. Hey, we've even got a green lady in here. Pretty awesome. I don't seem to be able to find the same-sex ones, but I know there's a couple where there's couples, but they're same-sex, and I think that's really good. I think it's more reflective of the world that we live in. I think it is important that everybody sees themselves represented, because we're not one size fits all. That's just not the way it is. All right, next. Thank you for patience while I went and get that. Your favorite tarot applications, and on what platforms do you use them? I don't really use tarot apps much. I do have one tarot app in my phone. It is the Mythic Tarot, because the first edition, because it's hard to get the first edition, and I really love the artwork. I did own that deck. It was one of my first decks. I think I gave it away at some point. Not sure why, but anyway, I have it in my phone, and I like that because I really love the artwork in there, and it's a really good, like, sort of emergency deck if you need it. I prefer using actual physical decks, tangible objects. Maybe that's old-fashioned of me, but it does in a pinch, and I like the artwork, so that's why I use it. So those are my answers to the questions for the 31 Days of Tarot. Again, thank you, Ethony, for putting this on. I'm going to put a link to her below so you can go watch. She's put a list up of everyone that's participating, so go watch, and then go watch her answers too, because they're really awesome. So, yeah, so thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.